It's Tuesday night again. We're going to go over the rants and sports and everything. Um, and we're going to talk about a little bit maybe what we're going to do Friday. On Impact, Tessa Blanchard retains her title against Taya Valkyrie. She was, of course, it was for the World Heavyweight Championship. And this is just one of those things where I don't know how many women that they're going to have them face in the women's division for these title matches, or if this was just a kind of a one-time thing. We'll see where it goes from there. Jimmy Graham got cut from the Packers. Hasn't re-signed with anybody yet. Russell Okung went to the Panthers for Trey Turner, who goes to the Chargers. These are two offensive linemen that were just traded for each other. One went to Okung went from the Chargers to the Panthers, and Trey Turner went to the Chargers from the Panthers. So they just traded people. No really rhyme or reason. I guess management just wanted to go one way or the other with that. On NXT, Dakota Kai beat Tegan Knox in a cage match. That was one of the first matches. They had, I think, 2 cage matches that evening. And very interesting to see NXT have 2 cage matches. I think they are trying to, since NXT and AEW are on the same night, I think NXT was losing a little bit of a ratings war, so they needed something to kind of boost themselves up to kind of compete with AEW on Wednesday night. So they had 2 cage matches. This was the first one. This is a long-running feud that has been going on. Another person has been introduced in it. And that's kind of how this one ends. Knox is trying to get out of the cage and gets pinned between the cage, the door of the cage, and the cage itself as she's trying to climb down the outside. She gets the woman that's helping. I don't know if I have her name down there. I do not have her name down there. She is helping Dakota Kai, and she traps. She's strong enough to trap Tegan Knox in between the cage door that has been swung open and the inside part of the cage there. So she is pinned there while Dakota Kai climbs out of the door. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know that we've ever had a finish. You know, you see people falling off, you see people battling other people back in, different stuff like that. I don't know that we've ever seen anybody pinned to the outside area of the cage with the door before. I don't think I don't recall a match that it ever happened. It may have happened, but I don't recall a match ever ending that way. So I'm not 100% sure if that's something that's happened before, or if it's something new that we just seen. It's something I had never seen before. So the Undisputed Era jumped to Velveteen Dream in his cage fight with Roderick Strong, but he gets Adam Cole, who is the NXT champion, alone in the cage, and he pretty much beats him up, gets kendo stick, wears him out with that, gets his finishers and things off, because he chased the other Undisputed Era members from the ring. And he got them out of there and got Adam Cole in there by himself, which was not a good place for Adam Cole. So it shows that maybe Velveteen Dream might be getting a title shot at some point in the near future. We'll see how that plays out whenever it comes back around on Wednesday. We'll see what happens on all that. On AEW, there was really nothing that went on. There were just some storylines from the pay-per-view and just a couple of matches here and there thrown in with some promos. Nothing real big to go over. It was just storylines moving forward. Tiger Woods will not play in the Players Championship because of his back. Uh, Tiger Woods really has not been the same since he came back to the sport, and a lot of professional athletes are usually like that. They go away or something happens or something like that, and then they come back to the sport and they're just never the same again. Michael Jordan's one of them that was kind of like that. He went away and then came back, and not on his fault, but ended up with the Wizards, and it just ended up really bad. And he came back the first time with the Bulls and helped them win the championships after going off and playing baseball. But I think there's something said of sometimes the athletes, they go away for a certain amount of time and they don't keep in shape, they don't keep practicing and stuff like that because of one reason or another, and they end up coming back and they're not near what they were then. So I think that's what's happening to Tiger Woods, has been happening to him for quite a while. Chargers sign Austin Ekeler, and Joakim Noah signed a 10-day contract with the Clippers. They are going to try him out for 10 days, see if he can. The Clippers already have a pretty good team that can challenge. They're trying to find one or two missing pieces to make them a real contender. Of course, the Lakers are like the main class in the West, along with the Houston Rockets. So the Clippers are going to try to insert themselves into that picture, and we'll see if Noah's the missing piece or if they need somebody else. I don't think that Noah's the missing piece that's going to help them, because Noah's got a bad he hasn't stayed with any team for very long. His stats are not what teams looked at drafting him and things like that, and his stats are nowhere near where they were when he was playing college ball, and they never will be, because he's just, there's times when people draft good players and times when people draft bad players that looked like good players, and that happens sometimes. You see the stats and sometimes the scouts they go crazy over the stats, and it's like, well, look who this person's playing for, look at the conference they're playing in, look at who they're playing, and those stats mean more or less depending upon what would happen. Like, say if you're playing for somebody like Alabama in college football, or somebody like that, and your stats are not staggering, but they're pretty good, you're probably going to be a pretty good player because you're playing in a tougher conference such as the SEC. Now, if you're playing, let's say you played for like the University of Hawaii, who's over in I believe it's still called the Mountain West. There was a guy came out of there years ago that was a quarterback. He was touted as one of the best quarterbacks, thrown I don't know how many touchdowns and stuff. But then again, look at who he was facing at the time. They were facing some of these teams out of the Mountain West that are not that good sometimes, like Wyoming's one of them. Teams that are just not, we don't hear much about them over here. We don't hear much about them anywhere because it's not a big conference. There's usually one superior team and the other ones are trying to catch up. Sometimes you'll have more than one team, but most of the time it is one superior team and the rest of the conference is trying to catch up. What I'm saying is, just don't go crazy over somebody's stats when they're playing in an easier conference and they may just bomb out. Jets rookie Quinnen Williams is arrested at LaGuardia Airport for trying to board a plane with a gun. You can't do that. You just can't do it. people all the time. You cannot board a plane with a gun. That's not good. Lakers signed Dion Waiters to see. They're trying to do the same thing Clippers are doing. They're trying to get their roster a little bit more bolstered. So they bring him in. He's mostly kind of like a 3-point shooter, but also he's middle of the road player. He's not a spectacular all-star player, but he is pretty good in his own right. White Sox sign, I hope I'm saying this right, Yoan Moncada to an extension. The Titans are helping the city of Nashville after that huge tornado. So the Titans are helping their hometown with donations and things like that. So they're helping there. Good to see a community and a football team and other people kind of band together and help people who may have lost everything. It's good to see that. It's good to see that with the community, with the help and everything, because sometimes we don't see that. Sometimes sometimes you just don't see the help or anything like that. So it's nice to see the team helping the community out. On SmackDown, Ziggler and Rude win a gauntlet match to be the last team to enter the Elimination Chamber match. Not much to say about this match. There was a lot of teams in there, and really, in an Elimination Chamber match, this is what gets to me. In the Elimination Chamber match, the teams are chosen at random, or the person, if it's a singles elimination chamber, the people are chosen at random. I'm sure there's predetermined order in the back, so that they know who's coming out when, and probably all of them know it. But of course, we as fans do not know what's going to happen. So, but I don't really see where this match was needed. They could have just had Ziggler and Rude come out as the last team randomly selected. I mean, it kind of took the guesswork out of some of that at the pay-per-view, and that's don't do that again. Don't do that again. That's it's not necessary. It's not needed. Don't do it again. I know what they were trying to come up with, but don't do it again, because it kills some of the match. Brooklyn Nets fire head coach Kenny Atkinson. Heading on to SmackDown. Andrade, no, not SmackDown. No, this is the pay-per-view. This is the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Andrade defends the U.S. title against Humberto Carrillo. We've seen this 1,000 times. It's the same match, the same result, and everything else. They're beating this thing to death. Either let Carrillo win the title or let Andrade fight somebody else. It's getting ridiculous. It's all the time. Miz and Morrison retain the titles in a tag team elimination chamber match. They were the champions going in, had a slight disadvantage to retain their titles. They did good, even though they weren't the last team in. They were, I think, maybe the next to last team in the match. So they didn't really have to do a whole lot of work. It was not one of the better tag team elimination chamber matches. It was okay, but it wasn't great. The Street Profits retained against Murphy and Rollins. There was some outside interference by both sides, but the Street Profits retained the title because the outside interference was canceled each other out. We'll not go into that. Sami Zayn won the Intercontinental title and this is confusing. Braun Strowman was to face Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura in a 1-on-3 handicap match for the title. Zayn is the one that ends up getting the pin. So Zayn is supposed to be the Intercontinental Champion. It's going to be real interesting to see what they do on SmackDown this week, because Zayn hasn't wrestled in a long time. Zayn has been a mouthpiece. And also, this thing, they should not have taken the belt off of Strowman this quick. This is he's won the tag titles, and he's won this title. He's not had either of them for very long. And it doesn't look good. The fans want him to be a champion. And WWE is just kind of pushing it on the back burner for whatever reason. I'm not sure what their reasoning is, but for whatever reason. And to think that this match could have ended up, well, it would have been weird for Cesaro to win the IC title, but that still would have been a better choice than Zayn. Nakamura should have been the one to get the pin, so that it looked like he got the title back. Which may end up happening on SmackDown anyway. They may just say, oh, he's defending the title now. He's the Intercontinental Champion. Which puts into effect of, if you're going to run that route and you're going to do that, why did you do it in the first place? That's stupid. That's a stupid idea. So we'll see what they end up doing with that. Hopefully they don't, but they probably will. Baszler was in the Women's Elimination Chamber match with, let me see if I can remember the combatants. There was Natalya, Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, I have to count them, Sarah Logan, and Asuka. And then there was Baszler. Baszler came out, I think, third or fourth one in. She quickly cleans the ring of the other. She must have been the fourth one in. She quickly cleans the ring of the other three competitors, and they end up tap out of the match. She used the same finisher on all three of them. And then when it got down to her and the other two, because Asuka was the last one out, when it got down to the fourth person coming out or so, she immediately almost clamped in the submission hold again, had them tap out. Asuka got in a couple good offensive moves, and then she ended up, it was the same thing. So basically Baszler eliminated all of the opponents in the match with this same finishing move. I would have liked to seen a little bit of variety here, or somebody else eliminate somebody else. I kind of understand why they done what they done, but you could have had a little bit more variety, or you could have made the match go just a little bit longer than what it did. Of course, she gets to face Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, which was kind of predetermined. That was where it was going to go, so you kind of knew she was going to win the Elimination Chamber match anyway. But they could have just done a little bit more with this than what they did. Also, rightfully so on the men's match, I saw somebody go through, I think it was Otis of Heavy Machinery, went through the pod, went through one of the pods and out the glass on the other side and into the crowd, effectively eliminating himself because his partner got whooped up on in the ring and got pinned shortly thereafter. I've seen people crash into pods. I've seen people go through the other side of the pod. I have not seen anybody go out of the pod and out of the chamber in one swift motion. I have not seen that done yet. That is something new. That was definitely different. overall, the pay-per-view, it could have been better. It was, I would progressively say, one of the worst that I've seen. It could have been a lot better. Italy suspends all their sporting events amid the coronavirus, which I'm really getting sick and tired of hearing about, but we're going to rant at that almost at the end of the video because of what I've got down here. So we'll get back to that. Josh Norman signs with the Bills. He was with the Redskins, and he got cut by the Skins because of his performance. So I think he signed like a 1-year contract with the Bills. We'll see if he can fit in there. Norman's kind of known for having a temper, bad attitude kind of thing. So we'll see if he can fit in with the Bills or if he needs to go somewhere else. On Raw, Riddick Moss retained against Cedric Alexander. Well, he retained the 24/7 title against Cedric Alexander. That was the only thing on Raw. I was disappointed with all wrestling this week. There was hardly anything on wrestling worth anything this week. From Raw, SmackDown, Impact, AEW, and NXT. And even one of those companies having a pay-per-view. And nobody impressed me this week. Nobody, hardly anything impressed me this week. Like I said, we got one thing here on Impact that was interesting. We got maybe 2 things on NXT. We got nothing on AEW. And we got a couple of things on SmackDown. And then just a couple of things on the pay-per-view. And a couple of things on Raw. That's a shame. You got to come up with better stuff. You got to come up with better things. That's just that's pathetic. It's pathetic that you can't, all that talent that you have in the locker rooms, and you can't put out better stuff than stuff that we've seen for the past month. You show the same stupid stuff for the past month. You try to change it, try to make it look better, because, maybe I can insert this person into the match, maybe I can insert this person into the match. Start doing better storytelling and get this stuff done. And come up with better matches. You have talent in the back that you are afraid to use. Or that you're afraid, because for some reason, I guess they think, and most of them probably are, they think that the fan base wants to see this or that. And the fan base is nowhere near what it used to be before now. The fans don't know. You throw 2 people out there that are supposed to be heel. One's supposed to be a face, one's supposed to be a heel. They don't know who to cheer for. They don't know who to cheer for because you put 2 heels out there or 2 faces out there. They don't know who to cheer for. I can't even hardly keep it aligned anymore. Like you got McIntyre facing Lesnar for the championship. The crowd likes Lesnar. The crowd likes McIntyre. One of them's got to be a heel, then the other one's got to be a face. You have got to predetermine this. You cannot have 2 of the same thing and make it work. It doesn't work that way. And like Carrillo against Andrade, how many times are we going to see the match? I mean, yeah, you threw in Rey Mysterio and maybe Angel Garza every so long into the storyline, but you're not changing what you need to change. Have Andrade face somebody else. Or if you're going to have a story, make the story, make it matter. Make it meaningful. You keep doing the same stupid thing, and before long, people ain't going to want to watch it. Well, at least some of us aren't going to want to watch it, because it's the same stupid stuff. Ticks me off when these people just do something different. You're just beating a dead horse. It gets ridiculous. It'd be different if the matches ended differently, but they don't end no differently. Maybe one of the finishers who would get a count out or disqualification. For the pay-per-view, he won by pulling onto the tights. Pulling onto the tights. That means you've scraped the bottom of the barrel. That means you have scraped the bottom of the barrel. You can't go any further down. You need to fix this. The other thing, the 24/7 title. You're defending it in regular matches. That's not what it's about. And then you got it on Riddick Moss, who probably most people have never heard of. And then you got him facing Cedric Alexander in what was essentially a squash match. Why even have the match? Put some stipulation behind it. Make it a street fight. Make it a cage match or something. Make it interesting. The only thing I saw interesting was 2 cage matches on NXT. Even the Elimination Chamber matches weren't interesting. And they're supposed to be. Need to fix that. Interim coach J.B. Bickerstaff, who took over for the Cavaliers when Bayline, oh Lord, I done got all jabbered up here. John, well, I guess it depends upon where you're from. Beeline, it doesn't matter. He's gone. He's gone from the Cavs. So Bickerstaff was the interim head coach. He is now going to be the head coach for the Cavaliers for probably the next 3 to 4 years. Again, the coronavirus thing, the Ivy League conference tourneys. The Ivy League, for those who don't know, is Yale, Harvard, Princeton. Those schools, they're not having their conference tournaments in basketball. They are canceled because of the virus. Princeton is going to get an automatic women's bid into the tournament. And Yale's going to get the auto bid for the men. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this at all. I do not agree with this. I don't agree with the auto bids for sure. I don't. It's just giving them just a free pass, and they may get in there and get knocked out in the first round because, I mean, they may have got knocked out in the first round anyway, but you're not getting practice in. That causes problem. So if they get blown out in the first round, don't be shocked that they might get beat by like 30, 40 points. I wouldn't be surprised myself. I'm not saying that they're not good teams. I'm just saying that when you have time off between point A and point B, sometimes you become a little rusty. And the other teams they've been playing, you haven't. Ends up pretty bad sometimes. Players and vital team personnel are only allowed in the locker rooms in the NBA, and the MLB is soon to follow. What in the world do you think you are doing? You are going to lose money that goes to revenue, and season ticket holders are not going to be happy, and the players are not happy. And this is a problem. From what I understand, these people, the NBA and the MLB, are going to be playing in front of no crowds or very little crowds because of this virus. This virus that has the media, that they've gotten everybody in an uproar about this virus. That's where all this has generated, the media. The media has taken the ball and has ran with it and has made it just mass hysteria of everybody. People, use some common sense. Stuff it's like the flu. If you get out of the hospital and you had the flu, or you get out of the house and you had the flu, and you're not 100% over it yet, or you don't think you're 100% over it yet, don't go around anybody. Or if you do, wear a mask. Take precaution. Take precaution. You get these people that are in these stores, some of them you know that they've got stuff, some of them you don't. Half of them they end up coming up and they're just as far away as I am from you and on this video and hacking and coughing. I just got out of the hospital. Well, don't be here. Don't be in a store. Don't be anywhere around people. Stay home. You're just going to spread it. And the media just loves to run with stuff. They just love to run with it. They take it and run with it. It's like, ooh, let's pick this up. Let's see how much chaos we can cause in the masses. Let's see how many people we can drive insane and nuts. Just take precautions against stuff, guys. Just do what you've been doing normally. I don't I've seen, I don't know how many, especially over the last 2-3 decades, how many viruses that we've seen, and it's just went on by. The West Nile, the bird flu, the avian bird flu, there's 20,000 other ones. All the time, it's something different. It's something different. And they take it and they make it worse than it has to be. Worse than it has to be. That's the thing. If you're sick, or if you think that you might be sick, don't be around people. People that are not sick right at the moment. I don't know what to tell you to do, because I don't do it anyway. But you should. I shouldn't have to tell people this. You should know. If you sneeze or cough, cover your mouth. Wash your hands. Sanitize your hands. Don't do it to the point to where they're so dry and cracked and open. That's a quick way to get an infection, is an open sore or an open wound of some sort. And if your hands start cracking, you're going to get it faster. So it's simple things. It's simple things that people can do. It's not difficult. It's like a lot of other things. It's not difficult. Just use some common sense. This is not rocket science. And don't listen to the media. The media wear you out on this stuff. They make it sound like it's a whole lot worse than what it is. A whole lot worse. They made all the other ones sound a whole lot worse than what they were. And we made it through all them. So, you go through this, it'll go away. We're not going to have Friday Night Fisticuffs this week. Because I won't have internet this weekend. So, we'll not have that. I haven't really picked out a game that's going to be shown on Friday Night Fisticuffs for a couple weeks. I haven't picked out anything. I'll find something in the meantime to get up there. So not this coming Friday, but maybe Friday after next. We'll still have the rant next Tuesday night. We'll see what's going on. We'll see if wrestling got any better. Probably not. And we'll see if we're still talking about this virus thing. I'm going to be coming up on conference tournaments and March Madness coming up in this next month. Coming up in a few weeks. So we'll have a lot of that going on. have a lot of the teams that are beating these teams, beating those teams. And then we'll try to cover as much of that as humanly possible that we can. But with 60 some teams, it's not 64 anymore, but with 60 some teams playing over so many weeks, sometimes it's hard to keep up. So we'll do the best that we can do, and we'll see what we get. So, but for right now, this is. I will see everybody next Tuesday. Like I said, we'll have this next Tuesday. We won't have Friday Night Fisticuffs this week, but we'll have the rant next Tuesday, and we'll hopefully have Friday Night Fisticuffs the week after. So hopefully we'll have it then. And that's all for now. So we'll see you next Tuesday.